Welcome back. How about a little bit of Monday motivation for you? Now, why do you need to focus? That's a good question. What does it do for you? And does it help you achieve anything? Our Monday motivation today, Fola Daniel Adelesi will be answering these questions for us. And Fola is a trainer and a professional speaker joining us this morning to talk about focus. We'll usually attribute focus to children. When you say focus on your work, when the kids are growing up, you want them to read more, pay attention so that they don't fail their exams.
That's correct.
It's only more recently that we then discovered that focus is also applied in your personal life, in business, and whatever. Can you just give us a definition, working definition of what focus is?
Okay, quickly, we should understand that focus is to narrow all your attention to a pursuit in life. It's about sieving every other thing that looks important, but is not actually important in achieving what you desire to achieve. So when we talk about focus, we're simply saying, what is the most important thing to you in life based on what your passion is, based on what your skills are, and finally on what you want to achieve in life. So narrow all your effort. If you talk about focus, think about a camera. When you zoom in on an object, there are several other things that you can capture, but to focus is to zoom in the lens on a particular object. This is what I want, and that's what you focus on. That's what you take into the camera.
Now, Fola, one of the things that, life throws up many challenges. And any person you meet will tell you that, look, it's all well and good when you say focus and you read it in a book or in a magazine, right? But the reality of things is that life always happens.
True.
So you're trying to focus on one thing, there's distraction on the right and on the left. Something's happening over here in your money, with your business or your job, family, and things like that. How do you maintain focus on the things that are important?
People tell you they're focusing, but they're not focusing. They're just living life as it comes. They're taking each day as it appears. Now, there's a difference between taking each day as it appears and actually having a strong focus. For example, if you ask people, what's your focus? You say, oh, I just want to be a lawyer. Now, that looks like a focus, but you've not really narrowed down to anything specific. You ask a few people, what do you want in life? I just want to be comfortable. I just want to be rich. Now, that's not a real focus. So when they say, oh, I wanted to be rich and that didn't happen, I wanted to get a good job, that's not a real focus. There's hardly anybody who wants to be poor in life. There's hardly anybody who doesn't want to be successful. But when you now become more specific and you say, this is what I want to succeed at, and this is why I want to succeed. I'll give you a quick one. There was a young man who wanted to become a medical doctor, and when he was asked, why do you want to become a medical doctor? He then talked about a relative who took ill and eventually passed on. So the pain was driving him to say, look, if I become a medical doctor, I'll make sure this doesn't happen. Now, think about one of the founder of the Flying Doctors. Why did she start that? A loved one was lost, and she was looking for a way to resolve that problem. So that created a focus. Now, focus is driven by a passion. It's driven by something that is almost not negligible for you in whatever way. So it's not just something that can be pushed away by. It doesn't mean that life doesn't happen.
Right.
At some point, you will have setbacks. You can be delayed. But you see, it's only a temporary setback if you have a real focus. You're only slowed down a bit. Even in a relay race, if you're running a race and the baton falls, your focus is still to win the race. But when the baton falls, what do? You go back, pick the baton, and continue the race. So in life, there can be delays, but you still keep going.
I like that. One of the things that I've always wanted to find out about this thing called focus, so that we don't begin to speak like it's an abstract thing. I always wanted to ask, is this a mental thing or a spiritual thing? Because for a lot of individuals, when you talk about focus, it's like, okay, it's an exercise. It's a mental exercise that you have to go through or a process. So talk to us about that.
Focus is physical. For some, if you go to the extreme, it can be spiritual, but it's practically physical. For example, if I say I want a first class, like we started talking about students, what then do you focus on if you want a first class out of school? To start with, when you wake up in the morning, you schedule a time for reading. you go over the notes from the previous day's class, and you look at the kind of friends that you have around you. Do they have a similar goal? If they don't have a similar goal, then you can't work with them. Your focus is to make a first class, so you must work with students who are already first class material or who desire something similar. So focus is very, very realistic. You can identify people who share your dreams. You can identify people who share your aspirations, sit with them, move with them. You know, they say iron sharpeneth iron. So if you're not in the company of the people who share your dreams, then you're not focusing. You can't tell me that you want to make a first class and you spend 7 hours daily in front of television, or you spend 20 hours daily. You know all the TV series, you don't miss any one of them, you hardly read, or you spend 10 minutes reading and you want to make a first class. That's not possible. So if you can identify what you want and begin to identify what you need to do or cannot do in order to get... If you say that you want to be very fit, you want to be slim, and you're not exercising, that's not focus. So it's something very practical, but it starts with identifying one thing that you need to achieve and concentrate all energy, all resources to getting that thing done.
I like this direction. I also like that you're also making it practical for us to be able to relate with. Well, one of the things that I know people complain about, especially when you then get too serious and, you know, it's almost like, okay, I've focused on this thing and I've achieved it. So I get this temporary high of having achieved my goal that I focused on. And then what next? And for some others, you spent your whole life being focused on various things, and you've missed out on the good things of life.
The fun of life.
The fun.
Okay, see, when you have a goal and you have achieved it, you obviously can relax because you've achieved your goal. That was why you needed that focus. But you see, when you eventually achieve that goal, you still need focus to sustain it. Whatever is good requires effort to get it done. And when you eventually get it done, effort is also required to sustain the success. If you lose focus, for example, I saw somebody who was running to the finish line, and he automatically assumed that he had won the race. So he started slowing down and cheering somebody else up. While he was slowing down and cheering somebody else up, another person overtook him. So if you look at Mark Zuckerberg, look at Bill Gates, look at Jeff Bezos. Some years ago, Bill Gates was the richest, and he's been on the list consistently. Now, we know that he's no longer the richest because he's given out a lot of his wealth. But if he had lost focus, he would not be on that list anymore. Look at the other people who were hearing about them some years ago. Some of them were not hearing about them anymore. So you can achieve that success thinking, oh, it's now time to relax. If you relax, you lose. Or if you relax, you start failing. So it's even going to be worse because people would now refer you as someone who, they refer to you as someone who was once successful. And you don't want that.
Wow. Fola Daniel, thank you so much for joining us on the show, talking about focus.
Yes.
And I'm sure that a lot of people watching this morning are saying to themselves, maybe I need to pay attention more and focus and achieve a lot more. FDA, thank you for joining us on the show. We'll see you again next